Hi, I'm Larry Johnson. I'm a professor at Texas A&M University, and today we're going to talk about cartilage and bone. We'll talk about structures and functions of connective tissue cells, the types of cartilage with features and locations, the perichondrium, the types of growth, zones of cartilage development towards growth of long bones. There's a host of cells that we have to be able to identify. There's chondroblasts, chondrocytes, osteoblasts, osteocytes, osteoclasts is another one. So there's a host of different cells that we have to do: spongy bone or compact bone, cartilage, perichondrium, muscle. There are various things that we'll have to talk about today. But what is the function of cartilage of bone? In terms of evolutionary and embryology model of bones, here you can see that before we had bones, we have cartilage as our connective tissue support. Also, cartilage slides across one another very easily like that, and it's somewhat a little bit compressible, and so it prevents bone from touching bone at the articular surfaces and somewhat of a cushion. Bone now supports land animals. Here we can see it also supports whales too, but here you can see this animal would not be possible to stand up without bones. It also protects his vital organs, his liver, his lungs, and it even protects the brain. Here we see the human with the skull protecting the brain, and it's in the bone marrow that we have hematopoiesis. So here you see bone marrow. Hematopoiesis is where blood cells are made. So cartilage is a structural support, but also in the adult you see it as slipping, slimy, so that it can allow a movement in joints. And then bone is a major supporting structure of the body. Now remember, we talked about connective tissue. We had some pluripotent cells in connective tissue that can produce blood cells, megakaryocytes that produce platelets. They can produce a host of other cells, fibroblasts, even endothelial cells, mesothelial cells. But also it produces osteoclasts, which is from the monocyte macrophage series that eats up bone. And it has osteoblasts, which lays down bone, and whenever an osteoblast gets trapped in its little space, it becomes an osteocyte. And in cartilage, we have a chondroblast, which get trapped in this lacunae or space, and it becomes a chondrocyte. So there's 5 different cells here of the connective tissue that we can see. Now, if we start with cartilage, cartilage is composed of 3 different types. Hyaline cartilage is what you see at the end of a chicken bone, the white, glassy looking material. And that's what at the articular surfaces where one bone is touching another one at the joint. And it's not touching because of the cartilage in between. And then we have elastic cartilage, and we have that in the ear. And the function of elastic cartilage is return to the original shape. You can fold up your ear and it will pop right back because of elastic cartilage. And then we have fibrocartilage. Fibrocartilage is interesting because it connects tendons and ligaments to bones, and to where we can see normally this would be like a ligament with all the connective tissue that we see here, the type 1 collagen, but located right in there are the chondrocytes, as you can see. So here's a chondrocyte, which is located in this lacunae, and lacunae is equal space. So that's the space where the cell has laid down extracellular matrix around it. So if we take a look at a joint, this is a joint of fetal elbow, and we can see the capsule around the cartilage, the perichondrium, and then we can see there's a host of cells, there's blue cells here, this hyaline cartilage, and right at the growth plate, right in through there, the cartilage is changing to bone, is transformed to bone, and we'll talk about that. So here we can see that we have the hyaline cartilage, and this is going to be the hyaline cartilage are the articular surfaces. And you see the synovial membrane that goes around it, so that allows this bone to move in relation to this bone. And we have dense irregular connective tissue in the periosteum or the perichondrium, and there's a bone matrix. Now, in terms of cartilage changing to bone at the growth plate that we see here, and actually even whenever you go from a cartilage model to a bone model, you have an area of reserve cartilage, and then we have proliferation where you see them all lined up there, and then you have hypertrophy where they increase in size, increased number here, increased size, and then they become calcified. When it does, the extracellular matrix is no longer diffusible. Nutrients can diffuse through cartilage, but it cannot go through bone because of the calcification. And that kills these cells here in the osteoclast. The macrophage-like cell moves in and eats that up, and it's replaced by bone. And we'll talk about that later on at the epiphyseal plate. Here we see hyaline cartilage. Here it is here, perichondrium on the side, and we can see a characteristic of hyaline cartilage is this isogenic group. So a group, they have interstitial growth, so one cell divides to produce other cells, and a whole group of cells is developed from a single cell, and that makes an isogenic group that we have. This is epithelium on the surface of the trachea that we see right in through there. That would be respiratory epithelium, and then we have dense irregular connective tissue here on either side of the perichondrium. If we look at the ear, this is the outer ear, and we can see epithelium here, there's epithelium there, so we've got skin on both sides of the ear. But if you look at the elastic cartilage, it looks like hyaline cartilage. The isogenic groups are not as big, but you have elastic fibers in between, and that's what we see, the elastic fibers for the elastic collagen. And here we can see this is a pin of the ear of a cat, and you can see the blue here is the elastic fibers that you can see there. So these are the chondrocytes that are trapped in the lacunae or space, and this is a chondroblast. So right at the edge of the perichondrium and the cartilage is where you have the chondroblasts, which grow by appositional growth. These guys differentiate into cartilage cells. But of course you have dense irregular connective tissue in the capsule itself. Now fibrocartilage is different in that it's between two different types, between a tendon, ligament, and bone. And so here we can see the fibroblasts of the tendon or ligament, and these are big bundles of collagen, type 1 collagen that you see in through there. But right at the transition between this and bone, this is bone down here, you have these chondrocytes that are located in here, and they differentiated from some of these fibroblastic-like cells, and they actually produce type 2 collagen, which you see a little bit darker right in through there, type 1 there, type 2 here, and so these are chondrocytes trapped in their lacunae in the fibrocartilage. And there's no perichondrium. There's no perichondrium around it because they're already embedded in dense irregular connective tissue of the tendon or the ligament. So if we look at in the fetal elbow again, we look right here at the attachment. We can see lots of bundles of collagen in through there, and then we can see these little cells all stacked up like this, each one of them in their little lacunae. And those are the chondrocytes of the fibrocartilage. You can see them here, there, all in through here. And this is type 1 collagen that would be part of the tendon or ligament. And also you can see skeletal muscle. So this is skeletal muscle that is where the muscle is going to be attached to the tendon eventually, so that the muscle, skeletal muscle, would regulate location of the bone. You would see this in a cat. We can see our model again, so these would be like a tendon in through there, and you can see the fibroblast here, the fibroblast there, and then you can see the chondrocytes in the fibrocartilage. There's some right here, and you can see them in their lacunae right in through there. So you can see, and that's located right in this location right there. There's bone, and this cartilage attachment is right in through there where the bone is attaching to the tendon. So we can see the articular surfaces. That is where one bone touches another bone, and you can see there's a capsule around it. And hyaline cartilage has a perichondrium except at the articular surfaces, and the articular surfaces of perichondrium will be worn off. That we can see through there. Articular is where one touched the other. Here we see a tibia, a fetal tibia, and you can see in this region in through there where the cartilage is very active, surrounded by the perichondrium, and there's a lot of activity here where you have a transformation of the fibroblast-like cells to the cartilage cell, and this is appositional growth, namely growth from the side. Again, we can see that this is a sulfonated gags. That's what makes it blue, because of the negative charges that's on there. So this is cartilage, and these would be chondrocytes located in the lacunae, and this would be perichondrium, so these would be fibroblasts in through there. And right in between there you have the chondroblasts. These are the cells that are transforming from the fibroblast-like cells that are located in the perichondrium, giving rise to the cartilage cells, the chondrocytes, when they get trapped in the lacunae, and that's appositional growth as it gets wider. So we can see that at electron microscopic level. There's fibroblasts in through there. There's a chondrocyte trapped in this lacunae. It produces type 2 collagen. However, in between there is type 1 collagen. And you can see the type 1 collagen right in through there with the periodicity that you have. So appositional growth is in this area, and the perichondrium is in this area. So these cells will be transforming. Maybe this is a chondrocyte, a chondroblast, which will give rise to a chondrocyte. Now, one thing is characteristic about cartilage that you don't have in bone, and that is you have interstitial growth. Interstitial growth is where one cell divides to give another one. You can see here where the membrane has separated these two cells. So one cell gives rise to the other one, and you can have a bunch of these. And that's what happens when at the growth plate, when the cartilage is expanded for the length of bones, is that one cell divides, produce other cells, they line up, hypertrophy, die, and then that way the bone has increased in length.
We want to thank various original sources of micrographs, images, drawings that we modified for this presentation, and this is a list of the various ones that contributed to this presentation. This is the end of cartilage and bone structures and functions, cells of connective tissue, perichondrium, types of growth, and the growth of long bone through cartilage. Thank you.